thank you so much, and we really are looking forward to just hearing from you. And I don't believe there has been a mayor in the history of this city that has been zero focused on NYCHA the way we have. And we want to go through some of the things that Deputy Mayor Maria Torres Springer and her team has done, some of the first-time actions that have been put in place. But, think about it for a moment. January 1st, 2022, what did I inherit? What city did I inherit? We inherited a city where we had 40% increase in crime. We had ghost cars and mopeds running all over the road, overproliferation of guns. Our children were not learning at the capacity that they deserved. Unemployment, black and unemployment rates were almost 4 times the rates as whites. You saw tourism decimated. We were dealing with something called COVID. A lot of people forgot about that. We had so many challenges in front of us, lack of tourism. Within 2 years, folks, 2 years, we have more jobs in our city in the history of the city. More small businesses are open in the history of the city. Double-digit decrease in homicide, double-digit decrease in shootings, 17,000 illegal guns removed off our streets. Our children are outpacing the state in reading and math right now. 62 million tourists return to the street. 4.1 million people back on our subway system. Out of those 4.1 million, we only have 5 felonies a day out of 4.1 million people. Robberies are at the lowest on our subway system in the history of recorded crime on our subway system. You see 17,000 people dealing with mental health issues taken off our train, homeless, taken off our system and put in care. 1,000 have remained there. We used to have encampments all over the city. You don't see them any longer because of what we have done. We cut and decreased black and brown unemployment by 30% in the city. Never has been done before, and we did something else. When I was the borough president, I was knocking on doors, giving masks to NYCHA residents, and people were attacking me. Go look at those articles. They were saying, why were you wasting masks on those people? But I knew that no matter where you lived in the city, you deserved the same level of quality care. And when I knocked on the doors, the residents were telling me that their babies could not get remote learning because they did not have high-speed broadband, and our seniors could not get the telemedicine because they did not have high-speed broadband. So what did we do? We went into NYCHA and we have given free high-speed broadband to every tenant that is in NYCHA right now. Free high-speed broadband. But then we did something else with our foster care children. Our foster care children were aging out at 18. And we knew 600 to 700 were aging out each year. We knew they were more likely to be victims of crime, participate in crime, homelessness, mental health issues. So what our team did, we went to our foster care children. We said, we're going to give you life coaches until you're 21 years old, and we're going to pay your college tuition, and we're going to give you a stipend so you will have the support that you would need. It's called Upstream. Then we said, when I went to Rikers, I've been on Rikers Island more than any mayor in the history of the city. I got rebaptized on Rikers Island with the prisoners and the inmates and the detainees. And I sat next to them and say, I see you. And I asked them, how many of you have learning disabilities? 30 to 40% of the inmates at Rikers Island are dyslexic. So what we did, we are now doing dyslexia screening in the lower grades so you don't wait till a child believes he's dumb and then find himself on Rikers Island because I'm dyslexic and I felt that I was dumb and couldn't learn. So now I went from being dyslexic to be elected to be the mayor of the city of New York. We want to give them the same opportunity that they deserve. And so now what happened? In the middle of this great turnaround, probably one of the most successful turnarounds in a 2-year period in the history of any mayor in the city of New York, in the midst of all of that, in the midst of having more black and brown people in executive levels in the city government, first a woman of color to be the first deputy mayor, first Dominican to be a deputy mayor, first Korean to head small business services, first Trinidadian to be a deputy mayor, first Filipino to be a deputy mayor, first, where's my girl from? I've got all these first, you know. When you look at first Spanish-speaking to be a police commissioner, first woman to be a police commissioner, first Spanish-speaking man to be a commissioner of the Department of Correction, first Spanish-speaking to be in charge of the DOT. You look at my administration, and you know what it looks like? It looks like you. It looks like you. And then out of nowhere, we got 211,000 migrants and asylum seekers that came to our city. And here are the facts, because every time I run into somebody, they say, Eric, what are you doing to us? I do not have the authority to stop the buses from coming in. That's against federal law. I do not have the authority to say you can't have 3 meals a day, a place to sleep, and educate 40,000 children into our educational system. The law requires me to do that. I do not have the authority to say, listen, I'm going to let you work. Federal government said you don't have the authority to do that. And I got a group of migrants in Clinton Hill and Brooklyn who said, listen, why don't we clean up the place, remove graffiti, give back to the city, because they want to do that. The federal, and we'll give you a stipend. The federal government said, no, you cannot. You're not allowed to do that at all. They can't volunteer, and you can't give them a stipend. So I have thousands of people who want to work in this city that can't work, and instead they have to sit around all day and do nothing at all. And that is the challenge I'm having, what has been dropped into my lap. Now, what's ironic about it? Where are the migrants and asylum seekers? What cities are they hitting? New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Philadelphia. What do they all have in common? Black mayors. Think about it. And so our base feel as though we have surrendered our city. And that's what our base feels. Our base is saying, what are you guys doing in Chicago? What are you doing in Philadelphia? What are you doing in Los Angeles? We've taken a crisis and managed it better than any other place in this country. And national leaders have come in and noticed what we have done. And so I'm saying this to you as we go into these conversations because I'm one of you. I'm a first union member to be the mayor probably in the history of this city. I know what hard times are. My mother raised 6 children on her own, and we betrayed her when she needed food. They gave her that hard-ass cheese instead of some good food to eat. My sister was betrayed. She had to dedicate her whole childhood to raising the 5 of us while mommy was out working 3 jobs. I know what it is to feel abandoned and to be abandoned. You have your grandson, your son, your nephew. You have who you prayed for to get into office to understand what people are going through every day. When you've gone through a lot, you can help people who are going through a lot. And we went through a lot of problems. I'm perfectly imperfect. 15 years old, I was arrested in the 103rd precinct because I found myself believing as though I couldn't learn. I know what it is to be rejected. I know what it is to think it's not possible. And that is why I serve as the mayor of the city of New York. After 22 years of wearing that bulletproof vest, standing on street corners, protecting this city, I'm here because I believe in this city. And I know we can do a better job to produce a better product. That's why I'm the mayor. And so I'm David Dinkins, too. And I know that this administration, the team of people we have here, are willing and open to answering your questions and to deliver it to the city. So before I answer your question, this is something that came to my attention back when I first came in office, because I remember whenever mom had a medical emergency, the first responders would come to the house, and she didn't remember some of the basic information. So this is a magnetic strip where you can write some of the basic information. So if ever a first responder had to come to your house for a medical emergency, you don't have to find your emergency contact. You don't have to look at what medicine you're allergic to. You don't have to see who's your primary doctor. You can have it right on your fridge, fill it out if you desire, and just put it on your fridge, and they would know just to look at this and get the basic information. The goal is to make life easier during difficult times, and that's what I want to do as your mayor. So we want to open the floor. I thank you for allowing me to come here, and we are really looking forward to having some great conversations with you. Thank you very much. How you doing? So come on, say a few words. Did you get to speak to your constituents?
I didn't have the chance to, but I first want to debunk the whole cheese situation because the cheese was actually really good. We grew up eating that cheese, and so the cheese was one of the things that I still remember as an old woman. Yes, bring it back. See, bring it back. The salt content wasn't great, but the cheese was good. But, you know, thank you for the invitation to be here today. I'm really here to support the mayor and to also hear from you guys on, you know, what are the issues that are keeping you up at night. I think I'm a little well-versed on a lot of the issues that are happening in and around East Harlem. I live in the community. My kids were educated in the community, and I try to be a very active, you know, elected official because I learn from what's happening on the ground, right? I want to see it. I want to feel it. I want to smell it, and I don't want anybody to have to tell me what's happening in my community. And I know that we have issues, so you know, I hope that you take the opportunity today to really utilize the presence of a lot of our, you know, city agency representatives that are here that can respond to a lot of your concerns. Thank you.
Love it. And you know, and the councilwoman, I oftentimes her ears must be ringing because oftentimes tell her story. She has a powerful story. And, you know, when you have council persons who really have moved up through the system to be at the level where she is now is extremely impressive. And I don't think you tell your story enough. I think people really should know how powerful it is. But, you know, the councilwoman said something that's really powerful, and even the women in the back said, bring it back. I don't know if many of you knew my health crisis. A couple of years ago, I woke up, I couldn't see the alarm clock. The doctor told me I was going to be blind in a year. I was having tingling in my hands and feet. They told me I was going to lose some fingers and toes. I had an ulcer. I had high blood pressure, cholesterol. I had the entire American package. And I went online and I did something scientific. I Googled reversing diabetes. And all this information came up. And I learned that if I just, when I went to Ohio to see this doctor in the Cleveland Clinic, Dr. Esselton said, Eric, you need to change your diet. I said, man, I'm going blind and you trying to tell me to stop eating fried chicken? What's wrong with you? But I was desperate. I was afraid I was not going to see Jordan when he walks down the aisle. I was not going to be able to play with my grandkids. I was afraid and I was desperate. And I said, I would try anything. And I went to a whole food plant-based diet. 3 weeks later, my vision came back. 3 months later, my nerve damage went away in my hands and feet. The ulcer that sent me to the doctor the first time, that ulcer is gone. No medicine. They gave me metformin the first week. They wanted to give me insulin. When I went to that doctor's office here in the city, I went in without any medicine. I walked out, I thought I was Dwayne Reed. I had so many pills and pokes. So it was never, they told me, your diabetes is due to your mother having diabetes. When mommy transitioned, she had diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, everything. But it was never my DNA. It was my dinner. And we can get healthy, good tasting food. That's what we're doing in our schools. That's what we're doing in our hospitals. That's what we're doing. They have been feeding us food. Nothing is a greater portrayal than when you need government to give you something and what they're giving you is harming you. They were feeding our healthcare crises. If you go throughout your entire block, everybody don't share the same DNA, so why is everybody having the same diseases? Because we're sharing the same food. We're running across the street, eating the same things. And so don't be fooled that we're not supposed to have healthy lives. Those of us who are Christian, God said be fruitful and multiply, not toxic and die. You know? And you don't, and let me tell you this story that I love the most. I'm at Dr. Esselstyn, and I'm seeing Dr. Esselstyn down in Ohio. And there's a man in there that's 83 years old. He was with Dr. Esselstyn for for almost 3 years. And he's sitting there talking about his sex life. I'm saying, what? What happens is when you clean your arteries, it cleans your entire body. Your clogged arteries are reversible. And so I said, listen, I want to have a sex life at 83 too. You know? So don't feel as though where you are is who you are. And if I were able to reverse my diabetes, how many of us in this room are diabetic? How many of us in this room are taking pills every day? I take no pills. No pills. And I ask you to go online and Google Dr. Barnard, Dr. Esselstyn, and Dr. Greger. Just Google them. And you don't have to be a vegan. You don't have to be drastic. But just learn about the power of spices. Learn how to use alternative. That white sugar is death to us. You know, this over-processed food that we eat every day, you can, within 3 months, you will see a total difference in your health by just making some basic modifications. And that is why we have different food in schools, different food in our hospitals. We should be, where the city feeds you, they should not be betraying you. They betrayed mommy with the powdered cheese, the powdered eggs, the canned meat, the lard. All of that stuff, that stuff is not good for your body. Don't let anyone tell you. Now, when we were in Puerto Rico, Alabama, Trinidad, Dominican Republic, we were up every day, working every day, not a stationary life. It's a different story, but it still is not healthy, but we ate from the land. We don't eat from the land anymore. Why do we have junk food in our communities and whole food in Park Slope? That's what it's about. So let me open it up. Y'all just got me started on this food stuff.
And I'm not going to translate that.
Dice que para tener salud,
No, you don't.
tienen que usar comida saludable. Y para tener salud, uno puede tener salud con la comida que conocemos, pero que sean saludables. That was it.
Okay. Go ahead. Let's open. Do we have translators in the house? You know how I feel about people. Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Our question is concerning the bikes and scooters and the lack of enforcement with them running red lights and disobeying the traffic laws. It is a quality of life issue in our community, on the sidewalks as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have not been at one town hall, adult town hall, youth town halls, older adult town halls, where that topic does not come up. Not one. And I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. We removed over 40,000 illegal dirt bikes, mopeds, three-wheelers, over 40,000, and we crushed them. But they're like the gremlin. The more you kill them, the more they keep coming back. You know? So there's a number of things. Assemblywoman Jennifer Rajkumar is introducing some legislation. We feel that we have to stop it at the source. You should not be able to drive the bike off the stores that's selling them without insurance and registration. And you should see the license plate. So right now, we don't know who it is. And they are so reckless and totally disregard the rules. And they're being used for a lot of crimes, a lot of robberies, a lot of jewelry snatches. It's really problematic. Right, grabbing telephones, earrings. And so we're with you. I spoke with the police commissioner and stated that we need to really lean into the enforcement. And then we got to get the delivery platforms to be more responsible also. So it needs to be a holistic approach. What happened was after COVID, everybody started getting their food delivered. And that just over-proliferated our streets with all of these bikes. So we're with you 100%. That is a constant complaint that I have, and we are on top of it to get it done. Okay, thank you for that.
Buenas tardes, Mayor.
How are you?
Viene usted. Ok, las personas mayores aquí viven en Naicha y ellos están notando que cuando la gente se está mudando de los apartamentos, squatters están mudando en estos apartamentos vacantes. So plenty of the older adults live in Naicha, and they're noticing that when either people are leaving or leaving the apartments that or vacating them, that squatters are moving in, and they want to know what they can do about it.
Good. Two things we noticed about that. One, the squatters that are moving in, and how people have been living in the hallways and on the roadways. We had a town hall, and one of the residents shared it with me. We met her late that night, and she was right. There was someone sleeping in the hallway, sitting on a knife on her floor, right outside her door. Deputy Mayor Banks brought this to my attention about people using the vacant apartments for all sorts of things, illegal activity, squatting inside the places. He has put in an entire initiative where he's partnered with NYCHA, where we want to go in and properly seal those apartments and renovate the apartments and get people in it. Because we shouldn't have vacant apartments at all when we're dealing with a housing crisis. People need to be living in those apartments. That's the best way to deal with the squatter issue, is to turn those apartments over faster. But it is on our radar. It has been a problem for a long time, and we want to make sure that the apartments are properly sealed. And when people call and state that a person has taken over an apartment, because everybody knows their floor, they know who's not supposed to be there, we need to respond faster to get the issue resolved. So we're definitely on top of it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor. I'm here today with members of a senior center, also members of an ORC, a natural caring retirement community,
Yes.
Franklin Plaza. This is about safety, and they're interested about, they have concerns about safety within the buildings. So the question is, how can the police department increase security during the evening and nights, especially at buildings' lobbies?
Thank you. We during the budget cuts, and I'm gonna turn it over to the inspector. But during the budget cuts, a lot of the senior houses was going to lose their security, and we said no to that. We got to make sure our older adults feel safe. And so, public safety is a prerequisite to prosperity. Inspector, you want to talk about that? Who have for NYCHA? Do we have anyone from NYCHA? Okay.
Yeah, I'm well acquainted. Deputy Inspector. Better? Yeah, there we go. Deputy Inspector Callahan from the 23rd Precinct. I recognize some people here, my board members here. But we're well acquainted with Franklin Plaza. Unfortunately, not too long ago, when certain laws changed, obviously with NYCHA buildings, we're able to go in at any times. We're able to inspect the stairwells, the rooftops, the hallways. Private buildings, we can only go in when we're responding to a 911 call. But we are, especially with Franklin Plaza, very concerned with some of the stuff that goes on there. So the officers are always instructed when they have free time to get out of the car, maybe walk through the courtyards, see kids hanging out that maybe don't belong there, just make their presence known. And then whenever we do go into the building for something, once that job is finished, if we have the time, do the same thing as if we were in a NYCHA building since we're already there. So that's something that's always preached with any of the private buildings, especially when they reach out to us. If we ever get a call, we can always meet with people to do a walkthrough. We can do security surveys. Our crime prevention officers in the back to give updated ideas on how to upgrade the security, whether it's better locks, certain camera systems. So we try to do it a holistic way while still obeying all the current laws for non-NYCHA buildings.
And so what are you seeing? What are your observations? What are you seeing? Does anybody want to touch on that? What are you seeing? What are the older adults, the residents, what are they seeing?
They see a lot of the what they explained to me, because we have population of two different areas in here. Mm-hmm. We have a Michelama, we have a NYCHA, and they're both saying that there's a lot of activity during the evening and the nights within the lobbies where people are hanging out, and they're afraid. So they come, they participate of the activities, and then they go home and they don't come down at all because they're afraid.
Which building? Do you know which building they talk about? Is that what you were talking about, Councilwoman?
Franklin Plaza is
It's a Michelama.
it's a Michelama. It's a co-op.
We recently just funded through our office, we recently just gave funding for Franklin Plaza security upgrade system, so that should be happening soon. But definitely there should be some level of coordination between the private security on site and the NYPD so that they're better able to target what the problem buildings are. But that is coming.
Got it. So are we talking about Franklin Plaza or Washington housing?
No, Franklin.
Okay,
Douglas houses.
Douglas houses.
I'm having problems over there in
And
Douglas
so,
houses.
what is it? Is it people hanging out? Is people
Hanging out on the lobby and in my floor.
hanging in the lobby and on your floor? Okay, all right.
In and out.
All right. So why don't we do an assessment of both of these locations? All right. All right. So we're gonna look at all three locations. We'll do an assessment and see. We'll get to crime prevention. Or who's the crime prevention officer here? Okay. How you doing? And who's your senior officer for this? You do both? Okay. Come on up here. Don't be camera shy. Come on, introduce yourself.
Douglas Houses is on the west side,
Yeah.
in the 24th precinct.
So what Commissioner Stewart did to make life easier for older adults, every precinct has an older adult officer that you can reach out to, you can communicate with to help navigate not only policing issues, but whatever questions you may have. And so why don't you introduce yourself so they'll know who you are and they know how to grab you, okay?
Good afternoon. My name is Officer Willis. I'm the Crime Prevention Officer at the 23rd Precinct. Just so everybody here knows, your Crime Prevention Officer at any NYPD precinct is also your older adult liaison. So we're a good contact to have in case you had any questions or concerns related to crime. Even if not crime, we can point you in a direction of somebody who can help you out, maybe at the Department of Aging, with NYCHA, things along those lines. I see a lot of familiar faces here, which I'm happy about. I have business cards with me if anybody wanted to take my contact information. I'll be in the corner over there for the rest of the meeting. And just come say hello. Again, my name is Officer Willis. If you guys have any questions or concerns, I'll be here for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you. So, and I just thought that was a brilliant idea from the commissioner. This way, you don't have to go in and try to figure out who you're going to speak with in the precinct, or if you have a particular issue. That is the role of the crime prevention officer and the older adult officer. And it's not only law enforcement. If there's an issue that you're trying to get knowledgeable about or you need some information, reach out to her and she will contact the other agencies to make it easier, particularly the Department of Aging. Okay, so make sure you grab a card, but we're gonna look into those locations in sight. All right, so let's coordinate a time where the team can come in. I would love to come and do a walkthrough. Okay? All right, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Adams.
Thank you.
As an older adult of 75 years, I want to know what can be done about the scaffolding problem. It's very dark, and during the evening, especially with winter coming, you know, when 5 o'clock is dark,
Right.
there's no lights, and it's not safe at all.
Right.
You know?
Right. It's so funny. Today, I had a press conference with the Deputy Mayor Mira Joshi, who's in charge of all this infrastructure. We had a press conference called "Get Sheds Down." Sheds. You know that? Because you know what? When I walked to the press conference, a sergeant was off duty, stopped to speak with me, and he shared with me that he made an arrest last night where drug dealers were stashing their drugs under the sheds and they were using it because there's not a light. So there's a couple of things we have to do. First thing we need to do is get our own house in order. There are too many city buildings that have up sheds. We have a real plan to roll them back and get them down. Then we're going to, for those who are up for legitimate reason, we're going to change the whole lighting and the whole structure up so that there's more inviting and more light and you can feel comfortable. Because being safe is not actual safety, it's safety and how you feel. And those sheds are dark, they're dreary, people hide on top of them. all sorts of nefarious and dangerous actions takes place. So today, I stood with the deputy mayor and the Department of Buildings to talk about just that. We got to get these sheds down. It has become cheaper to keep up the shed than doing the repairs. So we want to turn that around. It needs to be more expensive to keep the shed up than the repairs. People have not been incentivized to get the sheds down. Some sheds are there for so long, people have grew up with those darn sheds, you know? So we're with you. We just announced that today. You must have been hiding in my office and knew that I was coming. No, but we're with you. We want to get these sheds down. They're a real problem. Quality of life, lighting, you don't feel safe, illegal activities taking place, and just who wants to have a shed around their building for this number of years? So we're with you on that. Thank you. Yes.
East River Houses has the worst thing.
Which one? Which?
East River Houses.
Uh-huh.
On First Avenue.
That's
First Avenue on 105th.
yeah. No, it's a problem. It's yeah, no. Yeah.
From the place that I was,
Uh-huh.
I came at 9 o'clock in the night.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't go inside the like a lab.
Right.
And I was so scared to get home.
Mm-hmm. No, I get scared walking under those darn sheds. So I'm with you. We have a real aggressive plan to take them down, but we need to look at, that's what I'm saying, you know, like we're the biggest offenders. You know, when you look at city-owned property that still have these sheds up, we have to lead by examples. So we're with you. We're going to see what's the longevity of the sheds there. I know that in the previous administration, they did a big push around NYCHA sheds, but it didn't seem like it took the traction that it deserved. So let us look into that, okay? Uh-huh.
So that was the federal government. So the Department of Buildings was required to put the netting. The issue with the scaffolding is that if the building, right, has an issue with the bricks or with the roof, they have to, by law, put in the scaffolding to make sure that if a brick, you know, happens to fall, it won't hurt anyone. Now, the netting was a huge issue because the Department of Buildings was required to install that over the fence to make sure that if, God forbid, a little rock fell and it went through the fence, it would hit you. But what happened was that they were putting black netting, and so it was creating kind of little, what do you call that? Oh my goodness, I lost the word is in my head. But it was creating little pockets of area that were really dark, and so you couldn't see in, and the person couldn't see out. So we were able to, blind spots, yeah. So we were able to get, it was like a maze, right? So we were able to get them to put in the clear ones so that at least you can see them. But these are the challenges that we have in the city, right? Is that these are mandated requirements, and so we can't just take down the shed unless we have the money to fix the building. The problem is that the money to fix the building is not coming in from the federal government fast enough for us to be able to do the work. And so it becomes, you know, very cyclical, because then we're still here waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's obviously very frustrating and very scary, because when you're passing through them, you know, we worked with the 23rd precinct at Carver Houses, for instance, where we had, you know, a huge number of robberies, specifically to like delivery folks that were coming in, because they would get caught in that black mesh and nobody would see, and it was an opportune time, right, to victimize those individuals. But there is a plan, and so, yes.
Yeah, and one of the big things, you know, NYCHA has an $80 billion budget deficit for capital, $80 billion, and the federal government really has abandoned NYCHA. But so one of the things we want to do while we are taking the sheds down, we should change that entire lighting. And that is what the DOB and Deputy Mayor Mira Joshi, the whole lighting, because it's dark, it's dreary, it invites criminality. Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These ladies became very passionate. They was actually crying when they was telling me. So it's really, you know, the whole table is very important to them because they're very, very scared. And they were actually crying when they was telling me the story. So it's really important.
That's why today we announced the first round last year. We did an analysis, and we see that we have to do more. So trust me, we feel you on this. We just did this today. Where am I going? Yes. How are you?
Hi, Mayor. I'm a little scared, nervous.
I'm nervous too.
What can you do for housing about the rent so high?
Yeah. As the great philosopher said, the rent is too damn high. So here's where we are. We have to build more. It's the basic principle of supply and demand. When you have a short supply, it raises the cost. And so we're doing something called the City of Yes. Our city is divided by community boards. There are 59 community boards in the city. 10 community boards last year built more affordable housing than the other 49 combined. There are too many places in the city where they don't want to build housing. They have their parks, their hospitals, their schools, their access to good food, good transportation, and they don't want anyone else coming in. So City of Yes, we're saying, let's build a little more housing throughout the city and not overburden 10 community boards. And we're now going through the city council. We're going through the community boards so that we can move to execute this. We have a 1.4% vacancy rate. That means we don't really have any vacancies. Only way we're going to get out of this is to build more. And our zoning laws were racist. They were built and they were put in place to really prevent diversity in many of these neighborhoods. And we have to go back and fix that. So those of you, your children come home from school or you want to downsize where you're living, you're finding it challenging to do so because there is no real apartments available. We have to build more. Now, we financed last year with the partnership of the city council, we financed more affordable housing in 1 year in the history of the city. We did it 2 years back to back. We moved more people out of shelters into permanent housing in 1 year, in year one and 1 year and two in the history of the city. More people used the FEPS vouchers under this administration in the history of the city in 1 year. But we don't have the inventory. Everyone needs to be on the same page. We have to build more housing. Back in the days, we had the Mitchell Lama program where we did and build housing for working class people. That needs to be our new focus. And so we're with you. The rent is too high. There's not enough apartments that are available. We need to do more senior housing, veteran housing. All of this housing is important. The way we do it is we build more. Yes. She's going to give you a microphone.
Hi.
Yes.
Thank you, my dear. I am immigrant, so I came from Poland originally. So I see different situation in different view because I grew up differently. But and I went a lot, like you, and I was impressed that you talk us like this. I really put my hand in front of you. But I would like to know, we should do something in East Harlem about the cleanest. I am only poll worker, and one time I must be on the pool side 5 o'clock. So 3 o'clock I went, and I'm grateful about this. And the rats, horrible. Ms. Mayor, if you see this, you'll be really, really. And I was live in Ridgewood, I was in Jacksonville, I was in downtown, this is the journey, immigrants, as you told us. But I never saw like this dirty streets. Please kindly put more, I don't know how called. My
and I hear
more sanitation for us.
I hear you
because you told us about the diet, but how we should follow the diet if the rats around us.
So let me answer your question. First of all, there has never been a man in the history of this city that hate rats like me. I hate rats. And, you know, I have an amazing rat czar who's going to tell you some of the things that we are doing. I want her to explain. Her sole purpose is to go after Mickey and Ben. I hate them. You know that? No, they're not. They would stand in front of you and say, yeah, what you want? So I'm going to let our rat czar tell you what we're doing. But the number one way you get rid of rats that we found based on our research is to containerize in our garbage. As long as you have these plastic bags out there and you could have them mint smelling and all of that good stuff, rats laugh at that. So we have to containerize our garbage. Everyone tried, no one was able to do it. In November, 70% of our garbage is going to be containerized. We found discount cost of containers. You're going to see a drastic difference when we take these plastic bags off the street. We did it for the eateries. We did it for the chain stores. Now we're doing it to 1 to 9 buildings. You got to get the garbage bags off the street. That's the number one reason. But Rat Czar, Karate, can you tell us what we're doing?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the question. And this is an area in the city, Community Board 11, along with Community Boards 10 and 9, that Mayor Adams established as the 4th rat mitigation zone last April. And why we are in this zone so heavily, this area so heavily, is because we know there is a rat burden here. Meaning we see the complaints, we see the activity, and because of that, our city is putting more and more resources into East Harlem, Central Harlem, and West Harlem to make sure we're getting rid of enemy number 1 rats through containerization of garbage like the mayor mentioned, also working on proactive inspections from the Department of Health. So that means in this neighborhood, every single building is inspected twice a year from the Department of Health without any complaints coming in. Proactive inspection, it helps us as a city, as a health department, understand where the rat burden is, and then work with those property owners to address those issues. We work closely with parks, NYCHA, New York City Public Schools, to make sure, like the mayor said, we're being good neighbor, and city-owned properties are also doing their part to be clean and rat-free. All these pieces together are part of our integrated pest management strategy, where as a city, we're systematically going after what rats eat and where they live. But the work can't be done alone, so we work very closely with communities, with community groups, to bring education, to talk about behavior change, and make sure that there's a true partnership. The city is rolling out operations that will make our city cleaner, guaranteed. That will hurt the rats, and we want to make sure we're in partnership as that goes. So we have case managers from Department of Health who work in this area, do inspections. So if you have properties in particular that you're feeling a real pinch from rat activity, let us know, and we'll help you get the information and take action there.
And what you said is so important. You said that, you know, the streets are dirty. Streets don't get dirty through osmosis. They're dirty because of behavior changes we have to make. People need to put their garbage in trash. They need to just not drop it where they see it. So there's a cultural change we must do to say, you know, we need cleaner streets and organize. You know, I was in Rome, and they do these organized community come out and clean the streets, because these are our neighborhoods. But it's a collaboration with the Red Czar is doing, with Jessica Tisch, our Commissioner of the Department of Sanitation, the containerization of garbage, to making sure people stop dump. We're going after illegal dumpers. So we have a full frontal assault on Ben and Mickey. We want them gone.
And part of that plan is that all older adult clubs, all 308 of them across the city, are working with the Department of Sanitation to make sure that our garbage is also containerized, so that we are being part of this plan. The other thing that we're doing is composting, something that we've not done in great numbers at every older adult club, to make sure that we have no waste.
Love that. No, big issue. You know, I hate rats. Yeah, I'm gonna come to you, ma'am. Who? To the right side? Okay, yes, you can.
Thank you. Can you give the rats some birth control?
Is this on? Yeah, it seems like a silly idea, but what we do as a city is we investigate all different type of treatment and extermination options, expand our toolkit to make sure we have the right tool to deploy in the right situation. So birth control and other emerging technologies are things we're always looking at to see if they make sense for New York City. New York City has been a pioneer in different extermination treatments, including the use of a Burrow RX machine, rat ice, which is actually dry ice that we use for extermination, and a brand new technology we're using, which is carbon dioxide cylinders, and we actually use that for rat extermination. So the more wild ideas, that come in, and as this technology and more focus on this work, we test it all. We see what works for our city, because we are not only the best city in the world, but we're a unique city, so we want to make sure what we're doing matches both our human population and our rat population.
Yeah, I saw a chart, and those rats, they must not have TV, because they make a lot of babies. And they populate at a rate that's unbelievable. You should show that chart, of how one man and one woman rat can create a whole lot of babies, So, birth control. I know we tried that, the birth controls? Right.
MTA has tried it before in the subway systems to mixed results, and that's why it's something we continue to research and look into. Again, we want to make sure we're using the best cutting-edge treatments as we think about extermination, but it's coupled with all the other things we mentioned. We can't kill our way out of this problem. Rats reproduce too quickly, like the mayor said, so that's why we have to think about what they're eating and cutting off that food source and where they're living and cleaning up our streets.
And let me tell you something, they're smart. I had this rat in my backyard. Every time I put down the trap, he'll drop something on it, pop the trap, and eat the food. They are smart. They would dig a burrow. They would know when to put out. They know if you put out some food that they don't like to eat, they're not even going to bother your bag. They're going to come when they want something that they want. They are smart, and they're good competitors. Yeah, but I hate them, and we're going to get them. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Mayor Adams, I'm fine. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. My concern is that recently on First Avenue, I live at 108th First Avenue, 1199. They changed the one-way bike lane to a two-way bike lane. And I assume that was in preparation for the Second Avenue subway. But anyway, to me, it's a very, very dangerous situation, because now we have to look in both directions for a bike as well as the cars. And as seniors crossing the street, it's not a comfortable situation. Is that going to continue to be the case with that bike lane, that it's going to be two-way?
Yeah, DOT is here to answer the question.
I actually am not familiar with that exact situation, but we are taking advantage of situations where we've had in the past a single bike lane and trying to make them two ways without taking any more room from from vehicles and parking and things like that. Just trying to make more room for all of the proliferation of bicycles that you see everywhere. In general, a protected bike lane will actually, if you take the time to look both ways and you cross, and you can cross at any time, you don't have to worry for the signal to change. If you take the time to cross there, it really can make it safer for you when you're crossing the street in terms of dealing with regular vehicles. And it can, I'm going to tell you that where we put this kind of infrastructure, we do see a change in overall safety numbers. I understand that there's a lot of issues with bicyclist behavior, and this is something that we're trying to get down to. at the street level. I have a street team that goes out with NYPD. We go out every day. You'll see people out there. We're talking to delivery workers. We're trying to go to places where we know that people who ride bikes are waiting, where we can give them equipment and safety things to get their attention, and then really, we're really trying to drill down on the bicyclist behavior situation, Mr. Mayor.
No, go ahead.
Sure. And we also are doing a project at older adult centers where we're making walks with older adults in their community, not just looking at your walk to and from and around the older adult center, but bringing large maps and really taking a look at your entire commute where you walk all of the time and really trying to get an idea of all of the places that we can bring back to our traffic planning and management team to see where they can make improvements that prioritize you as pedestrians, right? We're all pedestrians in the city at some point in every part of our day. So we want to make that safe for you. And we can arrange that here at Union Settlement.
And it's a great idea because then you're walking the street from your eyes and pointing out, here's some of the problems, here's some of the hazards. And what we've done under Commissioner Rodriguez, we believe that the traffic safety issue involves all of us. And historically, you have not heard a real conversation of what's the role of a biker or the scooter, as was just mentioned. It involves all of us. So we want everyone to understand it's not about, just looking at the bikers or the scooters, but how do pedestrians feel, and particularly older adults or those who are dealing with some form of disability. Make sure that we educate our bikers, just as we educate our drivers. Everyone must play a role in ensuring our streets are safe. No, you heard the question?
It's not unique. It is, like I said, one of the ways that we are trying to solve for not enough space, as the mayor talks about. It's not just in homes, building homes and running out of space. We need enough room on our streets. You will see this, and it's many parts of the city. And you will also see us trying to widen some bike lanes where we can to make more space, so that this is one of the ways we're trying to keep bicyclists from then encroaching the sidewalk, which, as we know, is dangerous, and we are trying to get that under control with NYPD.
Okay. Yes.
Hi, Mayor.
How are you?
Okay.
Good.
I want to talk about, I've been in Spanish Harlem since 1957, so I've seen things come and go. But those light posts that you have between the blocks, not on the avenues, but between the blocks, they're outdated. And I've seen, when I look at the news, I see in Brooklyn, in Queens, the same thing. Darkness, crime comes around when there's darkness. So I was wondering, what is the city going to do with those lights, like between the avenues where we go to the neighborhood? We got the Lexington Avenue train here, but when you have to cross from Lexington all the way to First Avenue, it's a dark place. And then the trees are growing, and the lights is obscured by the trees. So we need help.
Yes. There you are. This is your day. It's your day.
That's okay.
Now, when she said outdated, have we changed?
We have. So we've taken on LED technology, which we know, actually, when we first put it in, we got complaints from people inside of apartments that it was too bright. These are things that we can do, and also on NYCHA properties, there's a lot of retrofitting. I live right next to Wyckoff Gardens, and we've seen a lot of retrofitting there that has made things safer and brighter. And as women, I think we can say that the brighter it is, the more that we feel comfortable walking around. So DOT has a robust program, and we can also work most closely with your council member and with our borough commissioner to make sure that we are identifying. And you should never feel like if you call out my block and say, I need 2 or 3 more of these, that's the way things are getting done in New York City, right? When you ask for what you need on your block, we have the ability to be very responsive.
So can we look at that block and
Yes.
see if it is dark? So we're going to look at the block that you're talking about, all right?
And 3rd. And right now in White Park, I was going to call 311 because one of the lights posts is missing a light, you know. I think it went off. It's dingy. They need cleaning.
Right. All right. Okay. So we're going to look at that block. Okay. Okay? Yes. All right. Did you just talk about birth control? I thought you was Dr. Ruth.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. I just want to say, first of all, I love you and respect you. My question is this. They clapping? My question is this. It's about dogs. And I know mostly everybody loves their pets. I understand that. I love pets too. But the problem is this where I live at. We have a lot of unleashed dogs, and they know how to attack. They don't play. And the owners, they're irresponsible, some of them, with their dogs, and it's a big problem. Some of those dogs are taller than me, and I'm not that tall. But anyway, we need help with that. The housing authority, they have a pet policy that's not being enforced. And it's a real serious problem because it's a public safety problem and anybody can get hurt. You have seniors, and we can hardly run. You know that. We got canes and we have our walkers. You got the little babies running out there. Anybody can get hurt. So I really hope and pray that something can be done about it. And I was attacked by a dog. It came so fast. It knocked me down to the ground. I ended up with a mild concussion, chipped wrist bones, a fractured arm. I had to wear a cast, messed up shoulder, messed up back, messed up elbows. But anyway, we need help.
Right.
Thank you so much.
We have your dog is supposed to be on a leash. And so we would definitely look into the proper enforcement. Some of these things we have stopped enforcing at the magnitude that we did, but there is a law. Your dogs are supposed to be on a leash. You're supposed to curb your dog. You're supposed to clean up after your dog. And so there are people that need to learn the basic etiquette around having a dog. I love dogs, but there are rules, and some people are not following, not being good neighbors. Not being good neighbors. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, I can.
Another thing is that we seniors have to use the buses sometime to get here and there, okay? My concern is I pay my fare to get on the bus.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was talking to this young man, and I said, I know that it's hard to put a police officer or a rookie or someone in the bus, because once they see somebody, like they used to do with the Select bus, they don't dare come in there without a ticket.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I deal with the 101 bus that comes from all the way downtown, 125th, and go up there. And it's a shame.
Yeah.
And I asked the bus driver, and they said we couldn't do nothing because we have to open the back doors to let the people out, and they come in.
Right.
So I was wondering, maybe some of your trainees, rookies, could come in that bus, and when they see an officer there, they'll think twice.
Yeah, what I find fascinating around this topic is that how much the older adults really don't like this state of just disorder. And because someone stopped me the other day talking about the same thing. So I spoke with the commissioner. What we're going to do, the John Lieber, who's in charge of the MTA, he raised this as well. We're losing millions of dollars from it. We created a culture where we were not enforcing the theft of service. People were hopping the turnstile. One night I went up to 125th Street and Lexington Avenue, and it was just unbelievable that no one paid. Probably 1 out of 10 people were paying. Everybody was just walking through, and it wasn't like they didn't have any money. It was just that we created a culture that, you know what, you're not supposed to pay. Now what happens? It comes out of your pocket, because then we raise the fare, et cetera. So what the MTA is going to do, they're going to identify for us frequent locations where it's happening, and we're going to put officers there and really start letting people know that, listen, it's no more just walking through. So we got to change the culture, and that is what we're planning on doing. Yeah, it's a real problem. Okay, sound like I could bounce. Okay. So listen, thank you. Thank you so much. Really good seeing all of you, and to our police officers that are here. Thank you guys and ladies for coming out, and really have a safe summer.
Just one final question for you. On these containers, which is a great idea, I hear that people are stealing them off the street. So I was wondering what the answer for that one. You talk about disorder. You know, and I heard about your rat problem when you're home and everything, because unfortunately I can't look away. So I've been an early supporter from you from before you became the mayor. I'm a big supporter of you. I just wanted to get that out there. I think challenging job. I really support the whole deal that you've been doing.
Well, and you're right. I've had my pals, and the first ones that I had, someone stole, and now I lock it to the gate as well. And I've had mine for about 10 years. It's amazing how durable they are. But you're right. We want to prevent those thefts. People can write their name on the bottom, or they can also do what someone shared with me the other day that they did. You can get one of those small air tags that companies sell, and you can put it right on the bottom. The woman said she bought one, put it on the bottom, and she looked on her phone to see where it was. It was like 3 doors down, So, right, and her neighbor said, I don't know how he got here. Yeah, you stole it. So, but we need to find out ways, because there's always, there's always New Yorkers who stay up the entire day. If they use that much energy getting a legal job, they'll be billionaires. But we have to find ways you can lock it in, put a little chain on it, to put an air tag on it, and or write your address on. I wrote my address on mine to make sure that if I see, someone has it in front of their home, then they took your garbage pail. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the summer.